Welcome to the Baggataway podcast. This is episode number 2, and we launch in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. I'm here with Stephen Brooks. This is Gary Boylan, the mayor. I think that nickname is sticking, Brooks. I think it's sticking. So, another big week in lacrosse. This weekend was nuts. More overtime games, more thrillers. I'll tell you what, I posted up on the couch while you were probably being an adult, and I grabbed my coffee and my sausage, egg, and cheese, and I rattled off 3 games in a row.
A lot of yard work for me this weekend. Enjoyed the weather. The weather is nice, so I had to get outside, and my son went on a lot of wheelbarrow rides, I'm not going to lie. Every time I dumped the mulch on, he climbed in and went choo-choo, and he just wanted to go all over the yard. But thankfully, you're able to record games, and I caught up all during the night.
So a couple of the big ones to mention, Notre Dame, finally somebody beating Ohio State, now 9-1. Notre Dame's up to number 1 now for this week's poll. We had the Syracuse game. You want to talk a little bit about that one? That was one of those ones watching live. For those of you that follow us on Twitter, I was having a little bit of fun with the GIFs. It was definitely a barn burner.
The thing that they talk about, the cardiac kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys had a little bit of that run, didn't you?
In 2008, my senior year, we had 4 games in a row that were all determined by one goal. We beat Army 8-7. And then we went to go play Virginia. We lost 14-13 in overtime. Then we went to Georgetown, and we won in double overtime. And then that following week, we went to Hopkins, and we won in overtime. And it just reminds me a lot about my senior year, and this team is just resilient. They just want to keep battling and battling and battling. And they find ways to squeak it out. And, that just helps build character in a team, and I think that can carry them a very long way. Granted, everybody says that when is our luck going to run out? It's no such thing as luck. It's called I think it's a firm believer of being preparation and being ready to play.
Yeah, what is that called? Preparation breeds luck?
Yeah.
Always a big fan of that one.
Yeah. 10,000 hours of training meets one moment of opportunity. If you practice hard enough and well enough, then that one moment of opportunity is going to come, and it's just muscle memory.
Little Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, here you go.
Grab a book.
Hi, here.
All right, boys. So another one we wanted to talk about was, Denver. Trevor Baptiste absolutely crushing. I think 20 of 26 at the
Savage.
Just killing the game. I think, you've had a lot of really good face-off guys in yesteryear, and, hopefully we'll get a chance to interview a lot of them. But he is just completely changing the game. An absolute savage, as Brooks would say. He's killing it. I mean, it makes a big difference. And when you have guys that can finish on the other end, like Denver does, they're going to be a hard out once we get to May.
I mean, having the advantage of make it, take it like they do in basketball, it's exactly what they're doing in lacrosse. If you score a goal and you go down and win a faceoff nice and clean, you have more possessions. With more possessions, it puts a lot of stress on the opposing team, and it puts a lot of pressure on their offense to have to bounce back and get those goals. And, Denver is going to be successful with Trevor Baptiste, and hopefully that can carry them a long way.
A couple of the other games, Maryland over North Carolina, just absolutely lighting it up in the first half.
Rematch from the national championship game from last year.
Yeah, I bunkered in for that one. I thought that was going to be a 2-coffee game, and Maryland went on just an absolute rampage there. And when you shoot 80% or whatever the heck they were early, I think it really puts people on their heels. And UNC's a loaded team, and they'll be fine. But when Maryland comes out like that, that's a huge booster for them, especially with a packed Big Ten. You have 3 of the top 4 teams, I think, in last week's poll were Big Ten teams, and that was not Maryland. So, they were saying on the broadcast that the Big Ten goes through Maryland. It's hard to argue that with that loaded roster, but it's also hard to argue that there's not 4 or 5 favorites in the Big Ten. I mean, it's just a loaded conference. The Hopkins finish over UVA. Another overtime game. Just loving these games. 1-2 goal games. You can't beat it. It's just.
Well, if you look at the score, it says 18-17. Okay, that is the way, in my eyes, lacrosse should be played. Lacrosse should be at high scoring, fast paced, getting up and down, and the final score should be in the 14s or above, and that is a true way to how to play the game. And I guarantee you never can count out Hopkins, no matter what their record is. Joel Tinney is a big-time player, and he's willing to do anything and everything at all costs for his team, and they find ways to win.
The rest of the top 20, I'm probably not going to dive through all of them, but another game of mention was Delaware taking out Rutgers. Big win for Coach Schilling-Laws and his...
I think that was his first time ever beating a number one ranked team.
I think you're right. And how long has he been there? He's been there since the 80s, early 80s.
I mean, this is his final year at Delaware. I can't even imagine. 30 years?
It must be such a wild scene up there.
And he still has a mustache. You got to respect that.
Still has the mustache. Can't hate it. Albany playing UMass Lowell, 21 goals. Are they coming back? Are they making another resurgence?
Well, here's the thing. Connor Fields on Albany is on pace, actually above pace, to break the single-season point record right now. He is averaging, I think, at least 1 point more than Lyle Thompson did his senior year.
Wow.
So in discussion of player of the year and being able to break that record is outstanding. And not a lot of people know about that. It's kind of subtly saying he's not as flashy as a Lyle was, but the kid can play. And he's a guy that when that first whistle blows, he's ready right away.
I mean, you got Pat Spencer, you got Baptiste. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting Tewaaraton.
Now, here's a real question. Who do you think the sleepers are this season? I think right away a sleeper is Virginia. And Lars Tiffany has these guys going up and down. I had the privilege to go to a practice, and boy, is that a structured practice. These guys compete no matter what the drill is. And I think, granted, they have some licks from their losses, and I think that they are going to be a sleeper. If they squeak into the tournament, I think they're going to be a type of Final Four contender.
UNC last year, were they have 5 losses, 4 losses, 6 losses, something like that going. I think it was 5 losses going to the tournament.
Yep.
And once you're dancing, you put on those dancing shoes.
Oh yeah.
You never know. And you know what? I think with UVA, with UNC, some of those programs that just have loaded rosters, especially a traditional power. You may be out. You may be having a little bit of a down year, but it's pretty easy to turn around with some blue bloods. I think once the ball goes in the back of the net, you can ride that pretty quick.
What year is that when Loyola won the national championship? Was that 2000?
No, it was like 2010, right?
2010,
something
right?
like that. Yeah.
And nobody projected that to happen, and that can easily happen again today with Ohio State's and Hofstra's and Penn State and Rutgers.
Yeah, Delaware went on that run a while back.
So you never know what can happen, and that's what I love about this game is that when you get towards crunch time at the end of the year, the real teams start showing up because they dealt with adversity early and they're able to fix their things.
So we want to talk about a little bit the women's game. We're not as versed in the women's game as we are the men's game, but we love watching it, and I think the way it's continuing to change, we want to be a part of that. So we're going to start to talk a little bit about the women's game as we move on, and kind of dip our toe in the waters. We have a couple big guests coming up from the women's game. This weekend, I think one of the big games was Notre Dame over Syracuse. So Syracuse with Gary Gait up there, one of the legends of the men's game, if not the legend, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He's really infusing a little bit of the men's game into the women's game. And Notre Dame, we talk about the men's game all the time, the powers that are constantly shifting and people catching up to the blue blood programs. It looks like, Notre Dame is starting to catch up with the Syracuses and the UNCs, and
Maryland.
Northwestern's coming back a little bit. Yeah, Maryland, obviously, number one up top. Really, really hard to knock them off. I think they're undefeated this year as well. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the women's game, and hopefully you guys will take an interest. I definitely encourage you, if there's a game on TV, to go watch, because it is a fun watch with all the rules changes. It's definitely becoming more fast-paced, more quick action type sport. So for that, I think we'll roll over to our guest this week. Coach, why don't you give him a little intro?
We're excited to have Seth Tierney on, the head coach from Hofstra University. They used to be called the Flying Dutchman. Now they're called the Pride. I respect that. But we're excited to have Seth Tierney. He's a great coach. He's a great person. And, you'll find out by the end of the interview, he's the type of guy that you would love to go to battle with.
I'd play for him in a second.
Oh, yeah. You hear him reference turnpike guys and just blue-collar, tough-nosed players is what he looks for, and he gets it. He gets the best out of his players, both being serious and at the same time understanding how to have fun. And I think it's a great interview with us, and he did a tremendous job, and I wish him all the success this year and the future to go moving forward. And we're real excited to have him.
Let's shoot over to the interview. Okay, we're here with Coach Seth Tierney. Seth Tierney, pretty big around the game, played at Hopkins, 88 to 91, was captain as a senior. All 4 seasons they went to the tournament, 89 title game, and he ended up playing for the New York Saints in the Indoor League and later assisted them as well as a coach. Went on to coach at Hofstra as the offensive coordinator, going to the NCAA tournament 4 times, including an NCAA quarters. Then went back to his alma mater at Hopkins, another OC job there where he led the nation's top offense. Won a title in 2005 as well as going to the tournament every single year. Shocker, 6 years in a row. And now he's the head coach at Hofstra. Since 2006, they've won a CAA title, 3 regular season titles, 4 tourney appearances. Currently 8-0, and they are number 3 in the country.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Anything else, Coach? We miss anything?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'd like you didn't have to say it all, but thank you. It's humbling to hear, and just glad to be with you guys today.
Glad to have you.
Yes. So I have to start this off right away. Long Island is known for its bagels and deli sandwiches. The Coliseum Deli, do you have a sandwich named after you? And if not, what is your go-to?
I do not have a sandwich named after me.
Oh, come on.
There's a couple of go-tos. You've been on Long Island, so you know what it's like. They come out with this new one, a little London broil roast beef with a little blue cheese sauce. It's nice.
Ooh, I gotta try that out when we play New York this year.
I'll take 2 Coach Tierney's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
So, Coach, we have a couple intense questions for you before we get into the fun stuff. And one of the things we wanted to ask, there's a lot of kids aspire to play at Hofstra, especially kids from the island that grew up with a program. And we were wondering if you were to create your perfect kid for Hofstra, your perfect player, what do you look for on and off the field? Because I know you value both of them just as equally.
Yeah. Again, when you talk about Hofstra lacrosse, you talk about what came before us, and each school, not just Hofstra, each school has a style or a template or what they've been known for. My uncle, when he was at Princeton, it was that Princeton defense. Here at Hofstra, the word turnpike comes up. It's obviously right on Hempstead Turnpike, and we have just a saying of playing turnpike lacrosse, just blue collar, hard nose. A ground ball means more than a goal. A second assist means more than a goal. Making sure that you're diving instead of maybe just leaning. Those are the things that make up a Hofstra lacrosse player. On the field, off the field, it's about getting it done in the classroom, about being an overachiever, and certainly about giving back. We do an awful lot of community service here, and these guys they get an awful lot, in regards to Warrior and New Balance and how they take care of us here. They got to be able to give back in other areas. So community service is a big part of what goes on when we're seen in public, making sure that they handle themselves correctly, and like I said, overachieving in the classroom and making sure that they do the right things off the field.
I think that's pretty spot on. I mean, 5 of the toughest players I've probably ever played against is Brian Spallina, Nicky Polanco, DiNapoli, the Understeins, and even Doug Shanahan. I mean, that's exactly what the type of players they are to this day.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, and those guys would, those pictures would be in the dictionary under Hofstra lacrosse. Those guys have carried the torch and have, cleared up the definition of turnpike lacrosse, and certainly happy to have coached, all of them, I think, except for Nicky. Nicky arrived the year I left to go to Hopkins as an assistant, but I'm very close with him and certainly all those guys.
Now, you've had a pretty good coaching tree from going from Hofstra and Hopkins. Is there anything that you picked up from Danowski or Petramala along your way that you still try to use to this day?
Sure. I mean, certainly when you speak of Coach Danowski and now being the all-time winningest coach in Division I, he's the one that gave me a shot. He's the one that introduced me to coaching. Obviously, my uncle is an idol of mine and my mentor. But getting back to John Danowski, he's the one that I watched him, and he is an unbelievable connector to the guys on the team, and he's not afraid to go against the grain. He is a guy that likes to keep it loose. He wants to, he was a guy that promoted the turnpike, and keep it simple and hear from them. He was a guy that allows guys to talk in timeouts, high pressure, low pressure timeouts. Didn't matter. What are you guys seeing out there? What are you feeling? Part of that was he wanted to hear what they had to say, and part of it was he just wanted them to calm down, relax, and to kind of visualize what they were going through. And it took me a little while to figure that out because I wasn't used to that coming from Hopkins. The coaches talked and the players listened, and I really enjoyed that approach. I'll forever be thankful for the Coach Danowski for giving me that shot. And now, coming full circle and the circle of life, we're back on the same sideline, coaching the USA team in 2018, which I'm certainly looking forward to, and glad I was selected to be one of his assistants again. That's going to be, it'll be another highlight of my life. As far as Coach Petro goes, I went to Hopkins with him. He was there for 2 years as a player together, and then started his coaching career in what the year after. He was just finishing up some classes, but then going back and working with him as the offensive coordinator down there, I just learned a lot from him. Again, playing alongside of him was one thing. I do believe that he's still, to this day, if not the best, one of the top 3 defensemen in the country ever in the world. And, he was a guy that he just never backed away from a challenge, and he understood lacrosse. He just did. But then when you get in an office with him and you pick up his attention to detail, his focus, and his, just the things that he would like for what his teams to be and represent, you get a whole new meaning for him. And, there's people that say things about Petro like, I wish he would loosen up a little bit. No, you don't. What he does with those guys and how he coaches and how he recruits and his relentless approach, he does an unbelievable job. And I picked up some great things along the way. He was just a relentless, great work ethic, and, just taught it a little differently. And, then the third guy would be Bill Tierney. He is a guy that obviously has been in my life for the longest of times, and the guy that introduced me to lacrosse. And I can't tell you how many phone calls that I've had with him in regards to coaching, and I got a problem, I got this, I got that, how would you handle this, how would you handle that? And a mentor, an idol, a father figure, obviously super successful. And, I don't know. I certainly wouldn't be where I am today without those 3 in my life.
So you talked a little bit about, keeping it light and letting the players burn off a little steam. For those of us that follow the game pretty closely, there's a few videos that are leaking out a little bit from your program, and that one locker room video where you're announcing bowling, and it was awesome, by the way. Love that vibe of the locker room. But once you went bowling, we were kind of curious what you scored that day, Coach.
Yeah, well, we have a volunteer assistant on our staff named Brandon Mangan, who, if anybody knows Brandon, he's a different cat.
Oh yes, he's a character, that's for sure.
Yeah, he belongs to a bowling league, so he was chirping in the office for about a week leading into that, and we made some friendly wagers in regards to conditioning. If anybody would beat Coach Mangan. Well, Coach Mangan did not live up to the billing, and he bowled a 96.
Oh my gosh!
And he's in a league.
and he's in a league. I did ask him. I think he should go get his money back. I hadn't bowled in maybe a decade, but I do have that a little bit of a competitive edge. And I don't know what the number was, but we were close to doubling up Coach Mangan. He's been a lot more quieter. Coach Mangan, as we all know, he doesn't have an inside voice. It's always looked like he's talking like he's got to scream across the country to you. He's been much more quieter in the office these days.
Mangan should be using the bumpers that day, huh?
Yeah, or something, because it was, it was a rough day for him. I will tell you, no Coach Mangan. There were some guys on the team that are still to this day getting after him. For a guy that belongs to a league and to cruise up with a 96 in game one, that didn't work out well for him.
Well, the other thing that came out of that video was that Maxine Nightingale song, Right Back Where We Started From. Where did that come from? Your guys seemed jacked up when that one came on.
Sure. So that's a little bit of a tradition here. After a win, after a big win, it's just from the movie Slapshot. It's a movie that we watch on the bus, and just a couple of guys getting together playing turnpike hockey and getting after it. And a couple of guys started it. Probably when I first started back here as the head coach, and it's kind of stuck. So that song gets played often.
I was thinking a little too deep on that one. After I saw it, I know you preach 0 and 0, and I was thinking, right back where we started from, 0 and 0. I was like, what a smart song. Never would have thought of that.
It does have a little bit to do with that, grounding, making sure we understand where we came from, and what we have to continue to prove in the country each and every week. So you're not far off. Where we got it from was just a movie, and guys were familiar with it, and it had a little bit of a beat to it, so the guys would go crazy in the locker room. But the words do have a little bit of to our program.
So in regards of being on the island and the turnpike, do you find it very hard to keep kids in Long Island to stay at Hofstra, and or with all these other colleges trying to pull them away from their main homeland?
Yeah, I think it goes back and forth, Stephen. I do. I think now it's starting to change a little bit. We've got about a little less than half of the guys on our team are from the island, and a couple real good ones that are staying. I think with the growth of lacrosse, certainly everybody wants to kind of experience something different. So the guys, when I was down at Hopkins, the guys that lived in Baltimore, they wanted to go to the ACC. Guys that lived out west wanted to come east. And then some guys wanted to, head out west a little bit. The Canadian guys always want to come south or wherever they can get to. And I think that's starting to even out a little bit, just because it's gotten so competitive in the recruiting world that to get a spot on one of these Division I rosters has gone back to, certainly a highlight in itself. And, everybody's got their dream schools, and sometimes, growing up on Long Island, you want to get off of it for a little while and see what some of the things have. But we've done a good job, credit to my assistants in regards to the recruiting process. I'm looking at a board right now with all of our recruits and our team, and I certainly like the names of the guys that have decided to come to Hofstra from Long Island.
Absolutely. I mean, me coming from Illinois, Lance Yapor spoke very highly of you, and you're a type of coach that gave him a chance, which was important to him, because kids from Illinois, it's slim pickings out there, and it's very hard for a guy like that or myself to make it out to the East Coast and make a name for ourselves. But it's great to hear, knowing you want to keep kids in Long Island, but as well as open the doors for the kids from the Midwest. I see that you got some Canadian players too. Is it easier to get some more Canadians to come down into Long Island, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's getting up there. The Canadian recruiting is a hot topic right now, because they have a knack of putting the ball in the goal, as you very well know, and so you try to make some inroads with some guys up in Canada. Go up and see a few box games. Their field lacrosse has gotten so much better. Brody Merrill, the Gate brothers, those guys have literally slammed open the door, and now you just look at what's going on. Carolina's had a couple, and we've had a couple, and there's been Mark Matthews. There are guys all over the place at all these places that are they've got one or two Canadians on the team. Recruiting is just a little bit different. The grading scale is a little bit different. The finances are a little bit different, and you just have to really do your homework. It's a different culture up there, and when you go and watch them play, they may be super talented and shoot the ball into a coffee can, but are they going to survive at your school socially? How far away financially, grade-wise? They're going to be able to survive in the classroom. These questions, they're all much more important than how many goals do you think he's going to score, because he's not scoring any, if it's just not the right fit. So you got to do your due diligence, certainly when you go to the country up north.
So we had the opportunity, Coach C, up at UNC. We were down there coaching in a tournament for high school, and it was evident how much your guys play for each other, and they're really just scrappy, really blue collar focused kids. What do you guys do to kind of foster that bond? We talked a little bit about the bowling, but what do you do preseason or over the course of their 4 years to really foster that bond and build that amongst the team?
Yeah, we do some team building stuff, and I think a lot of it is contagious. And we're certainly very fortunate. This year's chemistry has been really, really good and really tight. And I credit the seniors, even the guys that left in the last couple of years. They all have played a role in this year's team. They're just not on the roster or getting credit for it because they taught those guys, or these guys on the team, what to do, and maybe even what not to do, if that makes sense, because sometimes that's even more important than what to do. So that's the first part. The second part is, making sure that you pay attention to the little things, maybe the roommates. We have a big brother system here, so when the freshmen move in, they automatically get a big brother or two on the team, and those guys, the big brothers, we get in a room and we talk about what this is going to be like. You have some responsibility to make sure that your little brother follows the right ways, and you're going to get a little satisfaction out of seeing this guy play lacrosse when you're gone. So we start the little brotherhood early on, and that usually works out well. And we've done a couple of neat little things in hotels on away games. We did a little bit of we broke up the team into 4 or 5 groups, and we gave them an idea, and we played Shark Tank, and we gave them a couple minutes.
That's great.
To kind of go off into a corner, and we've given them an idea, and they had to sell it to us as the coaches. And all the guys are locked in, and they have to communicate. Everyone has to talk. Whoever is in that presentation, and so they have to communicate with each other, and they get to learn about each other a little bit. And then certainly off the field, celebrating after a big game. My request is just be together for a little while. I understand that life sometimes takes us in different directions, and girls and all this other stuff. But just do me a favor. These wins and even losses. These times, it's hard to explain to a young man how precious they are. After a game, get together. Just get together. 15 minutes, a half hour, an hour. See where it leads you. Those are the nights you're going to remember, and they play an important role in the following week of what goes on. You really get to know some guys.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. I'll never forget, my senior year at Syracuse. We formed a serious bond. Granted, we lost in my junior year. We broke the 30-year streak to the tournament, but one thing that we decided to do was we decided to make that commitment to one another and form a love. And, it's very hard for guys to use that word love and say, I love one another. But that's the main thing that kept us so close and why we were so successful is because we decided to stick together. When you hit rock bottom, there's only way to go is up. And we stuck together and we just bonded as a team. And that's very important. And I love what you preach. I mean, it's exactly what kids need to learn. And, it's exactly what kids need to understand about this game. There's more about than just a game of wins and losses. It's about who you meet along the way. And 40 years from now, those guys are still going to be very close because you shared that special bond.
No, there's no question, Stephen. And ironically, you mentioned Syracuse. So this year, we go up and we scrimmage Syracuse every year, and it's just a great scrimmage. We know we're going to get it in because we're going to play in their new practice facility, because we usually be in the dome. But this year we left it on a Saturday at like 6:00 in the morning, and we bought tickets to go to a Syracuse basketball game. So we drive up at 6:00 in the morning. We get to the Carrier Dome at 11:30. The game is going to be at noon, and we've got our bus suits on. And one of the movies that we're watching as we're driving upstate is Green Street Hooligans. And
great choice, Coach.
Right, so we get we're watching it, and obviously a lot of guys have seen it, but we're all on the bus and just enjoying the movie and laughing and doing all those things. We get into the Carrier Dome, and the game is pretty tight. And I think I forgot who they were playing, to be honest with you, but regardless, there was a couple of people from the town of Syracuse that were enjoying a couple of Labatt's Blues. They decided that they were going to get after us a little bit in the stands.
Oh no!
And so, with about a minute to go, we decided to give the whistle and why don't we get out of there? And Syracuse did win the basketball game, which was great. But I didn't want the Green Street Hooligan movie to take off out into the street a little bit because a couple of guys were, enjoying a little grape juice up there. So what it was one of those things. And then one of the things that, we got from that movie as well is when we break a huddle, we just say united. Some people say family, but, when you talk about that movie, United was one of their songs up there and one of their chants. So we just, we kind of lock arms and we're united this year.
Well, speaking of the close bonds that you share with your former players and coaches and teammates, a little birdie was telling Steven that you have some absolutely killer dance moves. A little birdie from Hopkins. What's your go-to? Are you a Cabbage Patch guy, a little Running Man? What's the go-to dance move, Coach?
I don't know who your birdie is. But I would like that birdie to be extinct shortly. I usually needed some type of beverage to get my rhythm down correctly. I'm not much of a dancer anymore, but I used to obviously do all the dances that everyone else would do, and even create a few new ones. And I think that people were laughing more at me than with me. But at the time, it felt like they were laughing with me.
You're feeling it. You're just feeling the flow. You just got to go with it, right?
No question.
So we wrap up every interview, Coach. We have this random word generator where it gives us 2 words, and we ask you to name the player or celebrity or friend or whatever reminds you of whatever the 2 words come up with. So this one, let me go ahead and give it a little tap. Okay, so this one is timeless hamster.
Wow.
First person that comes to mind.
I got to come up with a player?
Anybody. Player, teammate, former coach, whatever it may be, for a timeless hamster.
Like you can say Kevin Understein because he just never stops.
Timeless hamster.
Should we go with another one? We can go another one.
Let's go another one. I'll be honest with you. You caught me off guard there.
All right, here we go. A homesick penguin.
Homesick penguin.
Anybody have a good waddle?
You know what? I'll take I'll take Steven's advice, and we'll do both of those, and we'll go Kevin and Mike Unterstein.
Oh yeah. I'll never forget those two when they were out in the Vail tournament, and they are the most competitive brothers I have ever seen. That they challenged Dan Hardy and Spencer Vanshak to a basketball game, and of course it got real competitive. And Dan Hardy actually dunked the ball on one of the Understeins, and he dunked it so hard that the rim came down and split his eye wide open, and he was gushing blood. And he refused to stop playing because he wanted to win the game.
No question. And both those guys, they stink at basketball as well. But I will tell you that they are 2 of my favorites, all-time favorites to coach. You want to talk about heart. You want to talk about passion. I'm thankful to have Kevin on staff here, and enjoying his career in the in the MLL and his run. He's trying out for the world team and all those things. But those 2 guys together. I'll take those 2 in my foxhole any day. Absolutely.
I completely agree with that. But that's all we have for today, Coach. We really appreciate your time. We know you have a busy schedule, and you got to get planned for the Fairfield. And, just thank you for your time. And if there's anything else you'd like to say, go ahead. But thanks again, and good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, good luck in the CAAs, Coach.
Thank you. I think you guys are doing a great job with this. I think it's important for people to really understand the person that's not on the sidelines yelling and screaming at refs, and that there are some people that are, that when they don't have their coach's golf shirt on, that there's a different story behind them. So I think you guys are doing a great job. Good luck, and anytime I can help, just give me a ring.
So, hey, I've been working on my offhand. The game is never done. 31 years old.
Gary, preach.
Still got to work on my left. Just frayed up my mesh a little bit. I don't know if it's the weather, but it's looking pretty nubby, and I need to hit a little lax world to pick up some new mesh. Maybe I'll pick up some wax. Maybe I'll pick up some soft. Maybe I'll pick up some hard. I don't even know. There's so many options. But I don't want to go to the store. I'm a busy guy. I just want to go online, but I don't want to pay shipping.
Where do you go?
I go to laxworld.com.
Oh, whoa. And what do you use?
I use Bagpod, BAGPOD, free shipping, no minimums.
Whoa, sign me up. I might as well go on right now.
Use code BAGPOD, BAGPOD.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Wow, it's a really good track.
Yeah, I got some good vocals. Anyways, Seth Tierney, we just wrapped up with him. I did not know him personally, but over the phone, I would play for that man in any second, and he'll go to bat for you. We appreciate Seth Tierney's time. We had a great opportunity to talk with him, and we look forward to speaking to more coaches in the future.
So, speaking of working hard, you have a jam of the week for us?
I do got a jam of the week. You know what?
Well, pop it on the old headphones, hit the wall,
I
go
have
for a run.
training camp starting up in 2 weeks, and I was literally doing a dead mill workout, which means the treadmill is off, the incline's all the way up, and you have to propel the treadmill by yourself. And Great Night by Need to Breathe came on, and I powered through 8 more treadmills. I was only supposed to do 10 total, but I did more than I expected because I was so fired up from this song. For you guys out there listening, send us some feedback about your favorite songs. I have my training camp coming up, and I'm always looking for new jams in the locker room to jam to and some pregame stuff. So just feel free to drop us a line at...
So before we do that, are you an AWOL Nation guy?
Oh, AWOL
Are you
Nation.
an Adele guy?
Sale? I listen to every form of music.
So you can follow us and shout out to us on Baggataway Pod at Twitter, Baggataway Podcast on Instagram, Baggataway Podcast at gmail.com. And next week, make sure you tune in because we have some professional lacrosse players that will be popping on. And I'll tell you what, our lineup is just chock full.
One of them goes by the nickname Big Rig.
Ooh, okay. We have some college coaches in the top 5 right now that'll be on, just like this week's episode. We have some pro players that are coming on. We have maybe a professional women's lacrosse player that might be coming on in the next couple weeks. Make sure you stay tuned to our bonus clip at the end, trying to get Coach Tierney that sandwich named after him. Pick up.
We are calling Mark Leonard right now, and obviously he is way too school.
Yo.
Whoa, okay.
Listeners, we take our comments back. He did pick up the phone.
Shocked. That was 12 rings. I thought it only went 3 or 4 before it went to voicemail.
You must have some new technology on your phone, right, Mark?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hit us with the fact of the week.
Bum, bum, bum.
Fact of the week.
All right, Brooks, tell me the biggest orange you're familiar with.
Otto. Gotta be Otto.
Gotta go Otto. Otto the orange.
Gotta
He's
go
the biggest.
Did you know the largest ever recorded orange grown on a tree was in California, 25 inches around?
Impossible.
Think about it.
Think about it. That sounds like a bowling ball.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, Steve, how many glasses of orange juice can you make with an orange that big?
You know, if I carry the 2, I think you probably make about 500 glasses of orange juice.
Sounds about right.
With pulp, which is always good.
How many? What's the answer to that one?
Yeah, what's the answer? Fact,
About
Jack?
a baker's dozen, Bob.
Oh,
Oh, bottle baker's dozen there, Bob.
Oh.
Well, thank you, Mark. That was the fact of the week.
Fact.
Want to thank our other sponsor, Bridget Partners, an LED distributor of American-made LEDs. Tell your boss, tell your parents, tell your coach, tell your school. Call Bridget Partners and save 60% or more on your lighting bill today. You can reach them at 703-713-5209 and tell them that Baggataway Podcast sent you.
Thank you for waiting. How can I help you?
Yeah, no problem at all. So I have a question for you. We're a lacrosse podcast, and we just interviewed Seth Tierney, the coach over at Hofstra, who loves you guys. And we hear you guys are supporters of his as well. I don't know how close you follow them, but they're 3rd in the country right now. He loved the London broil roast beef with the blue cheese sauce. He said it's his go-to. And I was wondering if we could get the sandwich named after Coach.
I'm not the person to talk to about this, but let me see if the general manager is available.
I love it. Thank you.
Hold on a second.
You bet.
Desired flair.
Unique New York.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Ow now, brown cow.
Of course, all of these services are supported
The
by
Human
our
Torch
award-winning
was denied.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, yes. Are we talking about the Plainview store or the Uniondale store about the sandwich?
Hey, I'll take either.
One right up the road from the university.
Yeah, I called them before, but said to talk to you. I guess you guys are the big shots. You guys call the shots.
Right. I know. I'm trying to get the big shot on the phone. But hold on another second, please.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Hey, how you doing over there? I'm just trying to get some answers over here, you know?
Coliseum Caterers.
Thanks for holding. This is Liam. How can I help you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
We were just interviewing Coach Seth Tierney over at Hofstra, and said that the London broil roast beef with blue cheese sauce is his go-to sandwich, and right now they're number 3 in the country. And we were hoping that maybe if we just name the sandwich after him.
Okay.
What do you think?
Hold on one second. Yeah, that's something we can definitely do. Let me just get all the information. Is that a sandwich he gets from the deli?
Yeah, he said it's his go-to.
Steak, blue cheese. All right. Just not.
Yeah, we said London broil. Yeah, London broil and roast beef. Yeah, when I called over to them earlier, they said it'll be in Thursday. I guess it's in and out.
Yeah, there's blue cheese on it. Okay. Yeah, I don't see why that shouldn't be a problem. I'll talk to Ralph, one of the owners. I'm sure we can put out a tweet, Facebook, and something like that for him.
Love it.
You know.
Great.
That's not a problem at all.
Cool.
I just got to find out what that sandwich is from the guys over in Uniondale.
Well, it's apparently a killer sandwich.
Apparently. It sounds good to me, too.
Me too. We were drooling when we were interviewing him. We're like, ooh, it sounds really good.
That sounds good. All right, so let me put this together and get this in the works, and we'll get that tweet out as soon as we can, and Facebook post. We'll do it all as soon as we can.
I love it, and we'll blast it out too.
Okay. Not a problem.
Love it.
Let me get this in the works, and I'll let you know when the tweet's going to go out, like I said, and I'll tell you what the hashtag is, so that everybody can either jump on that too and start hashtagging, and we can see we start a little trend a little bit.
We didn't tell him we were doing it, so perfect.
Oh, good. So it'll be a nice surprise for him.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks for the help.
Not a problem, man.
See ya.
All right.